I used to live on Guam. There were a lot of ships that would drop things in the ocean, and the glass would get broken and pushed into the ocean. And I kind of feel like that, like our pain, right? Our pain gets pushed into this ocean. But as we give it to God and as we allow God to heal and move us through that process, these sharp things in our lives start to get softened, and it becomes this beautiful sea glass. My name is Khrystyne Jaspers. As a child, we moved around a lot, so I'd say I'm from all over the place. I grew up in a Christian family, loved God from a very young age, accepted Jesus as my Savior from a young age. Even though there were hard things and nothing's perfect and there were trials, I could honestly say through most of my adult life, I never had a point in my life where I felt like I doubted God's goodness toward me or His intention for goodness towards me. In the summer of 2023, we had 2 kids, and we were kind of toying with the idea of having a third. And we got pregnant pretty quickly, and then around 9 weeks, I went in for my first appointment, and when the ultrasound popped up, we found out that we had lost the baby. The loss and the grief was so real. Our kids were part of this. We have a 1-bedroom apartment. It was hard to grieve and them not be part of that. They were so sad, and they kept talking about, I really want a baby, I really want a baby. And so I just took that as all the signs were like, this is what God is leading us toward. He's leading us toward this third child in our family. In January, I surprisingly found out I was pregnant again. And I remember it was right during prayer and fasting at Trinity, and I remember sitting in the church service and feeling like I had gotten my miracle. We had suffered and we had prayed and we had gone through this process, and now God was giving us this miracle baby. The next day, I think it was a Monday, I found out that we had lost the baby. I think I told myself it was okay, and I was okay. I wasn't surprised this time. But then as time kind of settled in, all of my views of God were so messed up and challenged by what had happened, and how everyone at church is celebrating their miracles, and here I am holding this brokenness. I was running one day and it was pouring rain, there's nobody out, it's cold, and I just started screaming, like actually screaming out loud, you know. I remember basically like having my fists up at God, like, this is not what love looks like. This is not good. You could have spared this. You could have just not given us that baby, and I could have healed, but you gave me this baby and then you took it away. And that doesn't make any sense. And I feel like I can't trust you with my faith. I kind of felt like there's gonna be a lightning bolt that would strike me down and be like, how dare you say these things to me? But I remember God saying, it's okay that you can't trust me with your faith, and it's okay that you can't hope right now, but will you trust me with your grief? Will you trust me with your anger? And will you give it to me? It wasn't immediate, but I felt like that was a turning point of realizing that God could handle those things. He wasn't threatened by those emotions from me. And not only was He not threatened or disappointed in me, He wanted to bear it with me and hold it with me. And I don't think I've ever felt His presence as clearly as I did in that year after those 2 losses. Between the 2 miscarriages, Pastor Khrystyne had recommended that me and a couple other moms do a group together for those who are struggling through loss and grief. And I was actually plugged into this group when I had my 2nd miscarriage. And so it was just really special to walk through that with other women who had similar beliefs and faith. While this experience is common, not everyone shares our faith. And so my faith was such a huge part of what brought me through. Journaling and talking about it, giving words to women who have sat alone in silence. And so that gave me so much purpose. Those words like, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, my body physically experiencing death within it felt like that. It felt like I was dying. And to remember that, even though I was in the middle of that suffering, God was with me, was really powerful. It went into my life as these really sharp pieces, and that I believe were there to hurt us and were there to destroy us. But God, in His mercy through time, has showed me that they're really beautiful pieces of who we are, and those broken pieces are some of the ones I treasure most. And I wouldn't change those, and I wouldn't change those pieces of our story.